Yo, what's good? What's good? Welcome back to this week's episode. Excuse the laughter over here to my left. That was his gentle way of inviting you guys into the space. Kick back and relax and ignore the foolery during this episode if it happens to happen. You are tuned into Kicking It at Mellow with your lovely people. This is Ashley Elise.
Brandon DeVincent, the one and only. You already know what it is, man. And in the back, we have our lovely producer.
Hello there.
Wow. Late night vibes.
Oh no, early morning vibes.
Hello there.
Hello there. So y'all already know what it is. We've been doing the love languages type thing. So this is a continuation. My man is gonna drop his big hand in this box and pull it out.
I did it last time. So it's on you. But before we do that, you have to check in first. You gotta give him an update from the past week.
I thought you always did your big hand in there. I pulled one out before?
Yeah, you pulled the second one. So you gotta pull the fourth one.
Do you remember that?
I remember that.
That's crazy.
Like, spare us.
Ain't sparing nothing. That's the truth. And we've recorded these. So it's on video.
Okay.
But the update for it, you know what I'm saying? You skipping past that.
Do a new question.
You come here with revisions. All right, new question. How was this past week?
He get on my mother freaking nerves, y'all. Anybody want to switch spots? Golly.
Are you saying you're inviting guests on the pod?
I'm inviting someone to take over my place in this home so that way they can deal with your shenanigans.
Oh, they be loving that.
They be in for a surprise.
Big surprises.
Nah, that's not going to be the question. We're not going to ask that because we always ask that all the time. The question for this week is, what are you looking forward to in this upcoming week? Run it.
You answered it. You asked it.
What?
Ugh.
I'm sorry, y'all. This morning. All right.
We're off to a great start.
Anyways, so my update from the past week, I'm gonna answer that first, and then I answer your question.
Don't answer my question.
All right, you keep telling me things like you're my mom. But anyways, so my past week was pretty phenomenal, pretty chill. I was in Dallas and whatnot, so I got a chance to sort of kick back, relax, sort of get away, and all of those things. So nothing wrong with a little recovery. A little slowdown, a little reset. Indeed. That was for the past week for me. What I look forward to this week is getting my technology so I can work. A laptop has not come in for your boy. So I'm still on the bench until that mug comes in. Once it comes in, I can get back to work, man. I haven't been doing much work wise for a little bit, been on the bench for a little bit, so kind of excited to kind of get back and get that career development continuing for me. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, so to go with the typical flow, I honestly, the week was a blur. I'm pretty sure some good, some bad. I just remember being a roller coaster, and I just remember being tired. So the cap of my week is I survived type thing. I know I'm probably going to get tired of saying I survived the week because that's not the type of life that I want to live. So I'll use that into going into this week. This week I am hoping that it's not a week in which I say I survived type thing. But more so being able to take a little bit more control on a day-to-day basis type thing to allow my week to flow to where in the end I'm not exhausted. But that'll be tricky because I'm going back to working 6 days out of the week. Not even working, but we gonna see how it flow. Oh, and this is now the part of the segment where we open up the envelope. I pulled it. Oh, you typically open it, right?
No.
Huh? I opened it before?
Yes. What the? I know it was a while back. I know it was a few weeks ago, but yeah.
Are you gonna answer your question, or what you're looking forward to the next week?
Am I tripping or did I not answer it? I didn't say that.
Nah, you gave the update for the past week.
And then I said it brings me forward into this week. I'm looking forward to a week in which. Y'all didn't hear that part? What?
You're able to.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like your answer.
Right. That's what
I wasn't sure if that was your answer. I was just wondering.
Yeah. Nah. That's my answer. Not they controlling my answer.
Not they controlling it. You just really asked. I thought you were going to get something a little more profound, but I understand it. Simple is more.
He said, "Give an answer a little bit more profound." Today is the episode of slugs.
I said I thought that you did. That's how you received it. I can't control that.
Can't control when your impact don't align with your intent.
Right.
What y'all think the thing is on the envelope?
Gifts.
Yeah. I think it's gifts.
It's not. It's physical touch. This is going to be a bumpy episode. Oh my gosh. So I always started off with that one clip from the video. I mean, if you've been paying attention, then you know already probably. But in that particular video, when it talked about physical touch, it was just more so along the lines of, if that's your cup of tea now, then essentially that's your way of saying that you didn't get enough growing up. Like you weren't met with like hugs and so forth type thing as a child. So now it's something that you appreciate. Which I wonder how when we lack something, we now like seek it and appreciate or like favor that one more so than other things. But yeah, physical touch. I guess this is my telltale sign that one is a little bumpy for the kid. But I'm going to drop it off over here to the one and only DeVincent, because my guy might have a thing or two to say about physical touch.
Well, no, I was going to say, because you mentioned the whole thing about the question behind admiring things that we didn't have, which is actually very interesting because, you know, the cliche of like, you can't miss what you never had type thing. But I think in these cases, this is really strong. It's just something that is more so essential to your overall development. I feel like some holes need to be filled, and I think in this case that's the same as well. Learning how to embrace certain aspects of physical touch it's a long journey, especially if touch wasn't met in the right ways, upon initial growth, to childhood and teenager and all that stuff. So this is interesting for me personally. It hadn't, I can't say if I listened into the last episode, but I just think touch can be very powerful, and I think that when it comes down to overall confidence, for me, physical touch, my perspective of it has changed based on how I viewed myself over time. So, I don't know if that's any that sort of resonates with anyone else here.
My bad. I ain't mean to cut you off.
No, that's what I was saying. I don't know if I didn't want to go into too much of one direction without sort of giving like a overall generic.
Bet we can. I'll give us a source of direction, because the whole time he's talking, I'm like taking it all the way back. So why is like physical touch, or has it been, or is, or whatever the case may be? Like, why do I associate the word bumpy with it? I'm just thinking, like, how many hugs did I get as a child? And it wasn't many. It couldn't have been, because, like, when I went to college, I realized, like, oh, I'm not like everybody else. I don't be, like, calling my people, or, like, my people come, like, I don't be hugging them, da-da-da. Like, I didn't even like people hugging me type thing. It's something that I've been, like, working on. When I hear, like, hug or somebody trying to hug me, I, like, cringe on the inside. And it's not because hugs are, like, dirty or nasty type things. They're actually very comforting. Now, I am a little bit like more mindful, and I will actually like initiate hugs. But I do still have a thing of like when I know like it's on the forefront, like when it's obvious, like a hug is about to happen, or if somebody just makes it awkward, it's still challenging for me to hug. But if I don't initiate it, or if they don't initiate it and it's not like smooth, then I'd be like, ugh. But I think it's really just like not having enough of that and not being comfortable with that growing up. Because I mean, let's say it could always be a left. I didn't have loving physical touch, but I did have the other physical touch that was not loving. So that could also be a mix in there too, type thing. But that's what I was thinking about while you were talking.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's crazy because you said something and it resonated with me so well. And as soon as you wrapped it up, it just vanished into the atmosphere. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. But I'm a little. I don't know. Do you have something you want to add to the physical touch? They been asking for you in the comments now, and you got the mic today.
I don't really have much to say, but I would say it's not one of my top.
It's not one of your top?
Yeah, it's not one of my top. I used to think it was, but it really isn't. I think it was just for other people, not for myself.
You know, so the relationships I've been in, physical touch wasn't the thing for me. But I guess it was also like Brandon was saying, like you have to be like comfortable with yourself and like so forth, type thing. I've had an interaction or a space to where I was like, oh snap, I actually think I like physical touch. And then when I reflect on that space, I think I felt free and open and in tune with myself. So whenever I was touched in a compassionate manner and not just like on a sexual tips type thing, but just in general, just out of like love and caring, like I felt that mug and it just felt great. So I was like, oh snap, physical touch might actually be a thing type thing. But I still think it's something that I'm trying to get comfortable with. But even as I said that last sentence, I don't know if it's something I'm trying to get comfortable with or if I only appreciate it in spaces where I feel like there's a genuine, pure, like authentic type of connection that's like not on the surface. It doesn't actually mean that it's actually there. But if I have a perception that that's what that space allows type thing, then physical touch in that space, it just feels amazing.
I can definitely agree. And I wanted to actually take a step back because I know last week or the last episode we did words of affirmation, and I had did a poll on Instagram, and it really took me by surprise because I actually thought words of affirmation would be very popular amongst the community or amongst people that I know, and a lot of people either had it maybe in their top 2 or they didn't really care for it. And even some of the responses I was getting was it was more so about people want to see action. They don't really mess with words because a lot of people be lying. There's a lot of lies, deceit, and all that stuff like that. And I was like, man, I didn't even think about that. That based on people's experiences with lies, manipulation, all that other stuff, they don't really trust words like that, or even disappointment. Like, I mean, a lot of people. Let's be honest. A lot of people had a lot of times in their life where people said they were gonna do something, and they didn't stick to their word, and then that's when you start to lose trust in what people say. And so I didn't even think about all those things. But I will say that the reason why I brought up words of affirmation is because I feel like words of affirmation and physical touch are actually both very common in this regard. And I feel like all of the love languages are more so, it starts with yourself, right? But these two are very primarily based on you and your experience and I feel like you're healing the most because this is the one where you have to, I feel like these are the ones you're actually the most vulnerable with. Like quality time, you can give time and still have a wall up per se. Acts of service, you can still kind of have a wall up. Gift, you can accept stuff, still have a wall up. But when it comes to words of affirmation, actually accepting those, actually accepting physical touch, that's like another barrier, you know what I'm saying, a vulnerability that you kind of being exposed, in my opinion.
I'm like, what does it mean to accept physical touch? Maybe we should probably even define it, because when
that's
you
what I mean,
said
like embrace,
oh,
like
okay,
actually fully embrace. That's what I said at the beginning, like to actually
you
fully.
can be touched, not.
That's what, but yeah, not like I'm talking about in the manner in which love. That's what. That's speaking in the which of embracing love in this manner. It has to be those two in particular have to be your your perspective and healing has to be on a certain level in order to accept it in a manner, or like you were saying, it has to either the space has to be a certain type of way, or it's like your level of which you've gotten to be able to actually embrace that from a genuine you know person or something like that.
I was like, what is it in particular about this space? I think in that space that I was in, where I was able to appreciate physical touch, the thing that comes to mind is I was able to be a woman, and not like a strong one, but just simply a woman type thing. And sometimes I forget, I mean, not that I think I'm a man or anything, but sometimes I just view myself as a human, and I don't necessarily think about what it means to be a woman. And in that space, I was continuously reminded that I am one, and that I do deserve X, Y, and Z, and that I don't have to be this strong person or like well put together. So I think just being able to sit in a space and be a woman who isn't carrying the world on her back allowed me to be able to actually feel things more. So I thought that was dope. I appreciate
it. Yeah, no, for sure. Most definitely. Yeah, I can't really speak to that. But I definitely love that you had that sort of experience and whatnot. And I don't want to go too far off the topic of the whole physical touch thing. But do you think it's, how can I say this? Because I kind of know the answer. It's like everything is always a balance, but in regards to your personal development, how, if you were to give it like a scale or percentages, like how much you think it's on the individual, and how much do you think it's more so on the space that's created by someone else for that individual, or that you made together with someone else?
it. Right. I don't think it's a concrete type of thing. I think that it depends on the situation. So my immediate answer was 50-50, because that doesn't put the weight on either or type thing. But it depends on the time, the space, and so forth. Why? You?
I think for me, I put it more on me, mostly because I feel like I had to get to a certain level within myself in regards to personal confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But then also that goes for anything. Personal confidence with invoking the space that I like. Because I like to invoke the space that I would like to be reciprocated to me. So that's why I put a lot of it on me, because I feel like, not necessarily that I'm in control, but I will say that a lot of encounters I have with different individuals, I feel like I am counted on to be more so of a level-headed individual, one to think beyond what we just kind of just see, like, out here and stuff. And so I don't mind naturally being the person to just sort of slow things down and be like, nah, like, this is, what if it's like this? Or like, what if it's like that? Like, kind of challenging what it is, perspectives and whatnot, in a healthy way. And so that's why I put a lot of it on me, because I like to kind of do that. I like to be able to shift perspectives. So can't quite give a percentage per se, but I'm able to do that more based off of my personal growth and development, per se. So as long as the other person or whoever I'm with is open to whatever it is, a physical, it could be like my boys, you know what I'm saying? Like, so even like saying like now, like we never used to say like, just be honest, we never used to say like, I love you or stuff like that, like my boys and stuff. But like now we got to the point where we're older, like, bro, we can do that. We can embrace each other differently, not feel like, oh, this is like emasculating or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's about growth on everybody's end, and being open to certain things and whatnot. So
I'm like, I'm one of those people. I don't know how true it is. I don't know if other people have these experiences, but sometimes, like, if I'm speaking like on a romantic tip or a person of interest, if I give them a hug and I don't feel it, I don't know. They just start to go down, down the list type thing. I feel like if I'm interested in you and like you're the person that I'm supposed to be talking to, that hug hit different type thing. It's not like an empty type of hug or just like emotion. Like I actually feel it. But when I think about that, it's also tied to like, well, dang, I shouldn't necessarily be writing people off because I didn't necessarily feel it. It may just be a thing of the connection isn't quite strong just yet type thing. So that feeling I'm looking for isn't there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't have potential to get there. But I guess the question would be, how long do you wait? I don't know. But I think physical touch and words of affirmation for me probably go hand in hand. Because even when I reflect back on that space, the words of affirmation was definitely present, which probably allowed me to be able to receive the physical touch in the manner in which the person intended it to be type thing. I think they go hand in hand. Hand in hand.
Yeah. No, definitely. That's why I was saying they were so big on, well, at least on my behalf, me understanding. I think once you become aware of certain things, then you unfortunately assume the responsibility of knowing that. So it's like, now it's like, what do you do with this information? It's like me knowing this information and me knowing the power of invoking certain spaces, building that comfort with the genuine intent, me knowing what that can do. It's very powerful. And so with that, I agree with what you're saying. It takes a certain level, because honestly, I'm be quite honest with people, like for real, like growing up as like being taught to be like a gentleman and all the other stuff, whatever. It's certain boundaries you don't want to cross too soon. So like even like in regards to like the hug and stuff, it's kind of funny because everyone's analyzing so much, especially nowadays. So like getting a side hug, that might be like to somebody be like, ah, man, this person not feeling me. Like they gave me a side hug. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, bro, what was that? But it's like you were saying, we sometimes, unless you kind of, and I don't know how to really open that conversation without it kind of being a little funny, but some people may have boundaries where it's like I know I'm just gonna do the side hug right now, or like, I really don't know if they really, they be over analyzing too, where it's like, I don't know, maybe I should just do this or whatever, and it's sort of like, what's your advice for those people that may be like overthinking, like in regards to like physical touch and because I know we talked about words of affirmation and sort of getting over those things and someone being the jump starter with starting it off and building that space for comfort. But when it comes to physical touch, it's sort of like the same thing, especially someone that comes from a background that may not have been touched in a good manner and stuff.
I don't really know advice per se. I just think the awareness of the challenges or difficulty you may have in regards to receiving or giving physical touch. And I guess this could be like sent back to me because while you were talking, I was like, okay, well, what are some examples of like physical touch, just in case somebody doesn't know? Somebody may like literally go straight to just like sexual activities, but it's not just that type thing. It could be sitting beside somebody and just placing your hand on their knee, or it could be y'all walking and y'all holding hands type thing. It could also be a hug, or it could just be a thing where you just like embrace somebody with the greet and just place your hands on their face type thing. Just essentially anything in which you're touching them. It doesn't have to be on a sexual manner. It's literally just physical touch. And sometimes you don't even have to use your hand. Like, just, I know when I sleep with anybody, I like for my leg to just touch. I just want to know that somebody is there. So I guess actually that's my way of physical touch. If it's not just strong, but just a sense of someone is here. with me. I think knowing what physical touch is, the different forms that it comes in, and then like where does your challenge lie. So yeah, I said as a child there weren't many hugs. It really wasn't. There also wasn't many like I love you type thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to shy away from it my entire life. But was there something else? Like, yes, there was incidents of like sexual abuse, but that doesn't also mean like it has to weigh in on my ability to be able to give and receive physical touch. What about me? Am I also contributing to it? And my answer is yeah, because I haven't always been confident like in my appearance. And I won't say that I'm like 100% confident in my appearance or accepting in myself, but it's something that I'm learning to do, or a space to create for myself where I'm accepting of me like wholly type thing. It's like, oh snap, like I'm a woman and I'm a grown woman, even if I look like a little kid, or even if I'm not everybody cup of tea type thing. It's a battle that I constantly like rock with. So it's like whenever I'm in those spaces where I'm not so accepting of myself, it can be challenging for me to be able to like receive or accept physical touch type thing. But that space can be created even if you are battling the lack of confidence of yourself or with yourself. The space can be created to where physical touch is still appreciated and accepted if I think that space is accepting of you as a person. So where you become comfortable with saying like, I'm in this space and I may not be confident in myself, but this space accept me. So in that accepting space, you become accepting of the version of you that isn't accepting of you. That probably sounds like a word jumble, but still it's like, oh, maybe this might be PG-13. Maybe I'm like, oh, I don't, you know what, never mind. Let me not say, you know what, bump it. Maybe it's a thing of like, oh, I don't like my baby boobs, okay? So I don't want to be in this space, or don't do X, Y, and Z. I don't want to be exposed in that manner. But somebody might be like, I like it. I love it. Okay, that's cool. That's probably like words of affirmation too. But I want to be in a space to where I'm comfortable. But I think just repeated exposure in the space where I'm not comfortable, but being met by something of positive energy type thing, will allow me to exist in that space being uncomfortable. And then I eventually will evolve to where like I slowly become comfortable. But I don't deny myself the opportunity to miss out on that type of love, which is physical touch. That was long advice.
No, I think, yeah, and I think when you were giving examples, I think they were pretty good. Because my advice would be sort of similar in which regards to just, if your intent is genuine, that's all you have. That's all you can worry about. Like, you can have conversations and discussions and sort of see where the individual is at. And in regards to growth, if you want to create this space for an individual that may not have that space before, then you going out on a limb, taking a risk, because it's going to be something that they're not technically used to. But it is for the overall betterment if it's in your genuine intent. So like she was saying, like it could be certain things that you were saying you may want to reiterate, or you want it to be profound. So it may be something small where you just maybe like, put your hand on their hand, or it may be something to where it's just like, I don't know, putting the hand on, like, depending on where they're standing at you, like, maybe, like, on their elbow or their, arm or something like this, to sort of show, like, nah, I'm here, you know what I'm saying? Not nothing that's too abrasive or whatever like that, but it's like little things.
It could be baby steps, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't recall like ever holding somebody's hand and feeling comfortable. But in the same space where I accepted physical touch, I found myself holding hands in public, and I said, "What? This is new for me," type thing. But it didn't start off small. I literally just locked hands, intertwined fingers. But it could be something simple and slow. If you're not a person who likes to hold hands like me, it could be, all right, we ain't holding hands in public. Let's start off slow, like maybe while in the car, place their hand or your hand on top of each other's hand. You don't have to interlock fingers, but start off slow like that. And then, gradually progress to maybe not like interlocking fingers, but a thing to where you just hold hands like such type thing. And then eventually progressing to interlocking of fingers, whatever is comfortable. It doesn't have to be an immediate, like hands on all everything type thing, but kind of like progressing from a side hug to a 2-arm hug type thing. Everything can be baby steps. It doesn't have to be full blown out, especially if it's not something that you're comfortable. But you also have to gauge the space that you're in with whoever. And we're talking about physical touch. It sounds like more on a romantic, but just in general, like some people have friends, because I was that friend that don't like hugs type thing. And it would suck when I see like my friends, the people that I was cool with, greeting other people with hugs. And I'm like, dang, bro, we don't greet like that. Like, why everybody always like want to dap me up or just use words type thing when they see me? Like, I'm a huggable person, but I had to think like I did that. I didn't come into the space hugging, but I could also change that. I can say like, hey, like when you hug people, I be trying to figure out like why I don't get a hug, like why we don't get that same compassionate like greeting type thing. I could use my words, or I could just do something different. And next time I see them, I can give them a hug. I don't know. I was missing out on it, and I kind of blamed it on myself. But I also didn't have that space to where we talked about it. Like, actually, why don't you like hugs? Like, nobody ever asked, like, why you don't like hugs? They just accepted the fact that I don't, and they just didn't give it to me. Or you got those people who just forcefully try and give you something in which you don't like. But that's not really healthy type thing.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I say. I guess the last thing I was gonna say two things. Just you, if in regards to physical touch, if both of you are like, or whoever it is, it can be you, somebody interested in you, your friends, whatever.
Your family.
Find out your family. Find out what their boundaries are. And then if you're that type of person that enjoys physical touch, or you want to explore, like, actually having that, then find those boundaries and then, work around that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with actually just being close to somebody. I think you mentioned that before. Like, you can just be kind of close to somebody and kind of see, like, how that is. See if you're interrupting their space. See how they like that first before you maybe try, like, other things. There's so many things you do. The language, the body speaks a lot if you just pay attention.
And it might some of the stuff might be like feel like weird actions, but let's just say like I had a long day, or things have been like thick, or I just had a stiff week and I don't really want to talk about it or something. Like, would it be weird for me to just like go get my laptop because I know I need to be active type thing? Like, what if I need more than just to be in the room with Brandon or Amalola? Like, what if I'm like, hey man, do you mind if I like sit literally next to you, my thigh touching your thigh, my back to your back while I type? I just need to feel and know that somebody else is here and we don't have to talk about stuff type thing. It'd be something like that. Or even when it comes to family, like I said, this isn't just romantic, it's just across the board. The fact that we wasn't hugging is like, what? I mean, now when I go home, I see my great auntie, I don't wait for her to give me a hug or ask me for a hug. I literally will just straight up give her a hug. But it was a lot of things that was missing then type thing. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to continue to miss. If you wasn't saying I love you, if you wasn't giving hugs, if you wasn't doing X, Y, and Z, doesn't mean that you have to continue to be that way. You can be the person who introduces it to a space, even if it's something that you yourself find challenging to do type thing. You can say that like, hey, I'm not much of a hugger, but I wish we would have hugged, or I wish we would have did X, Y, and Z. And hey, can we work on that? I would like that to be implemented into our space so I can feel more connected in a greater sense of like love and a sense of belonging type thing.
Right.
But
and the last other thing I was gonna say is definitely work on yourself, because a lot of times when it comes down to these love languages, we kind of say it's, oh, this is how I like to be loved. Just continue to be aware of yourself and if you're actually giving off the energy in which you want back. Because a lot of us, we say that we want things, but we get them and we either don't recognize them or really don't truly appreciate them because we just didn't know. Like, we think we know, but we actually don't know. There's more levels to it and whatnot. So really continue to be self-aware and develop yourself personally, so you want so you have less times out here maybe potentially missing out on some blessings and whatnot.
All right, he said last 2 times, so I get to say last 1 time. So my my thing on his thing Shoot, I should have said while he was talking, but that would have been rude. I would have interrupted. But it's more so on the tip of when he was talking about, be careful and be mindful of, what you ask for and what you're giving type thing. Know that each day you evolve. So you can say, like, this is what I want on today, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that that'll be the thing that you want on tomorrow. Or that'll be something that you give or know how to give on tomorrow as you did today type thing. So you're changing as time changes. So be kind and be caring to yourself. Like, if your words don't align with your actions, like, that's okay. Like, don't beat yourself up, but don't be foolish and keep carrying like that type thing. Just take some time to be able to reflect. Because if I say, like, hey, like, I want physical touch more type thing, and if I'm dealing with people, friends, family, significant other who's trying to give me that, but I'm denying it even though I said I wanted it, it's baby steps, sweetie. It's baby steps. You can say you want something, but what do you actually want? And do you have the capability to recognize it? And if you don't, then what's blocking it? What if you are being able to recognize it, but you're still not able to accept it? I could say I want physical touch type thing more often. But shoot, that was my first step. I just said I wanted it. Now I have to get into a space to where I can be that person who is accepting of it type thing. You can want something and not be necessarily ready for it. I think the first step of getting what it is that you want and need is putting it out into the atmosphere that you actually want or need it type thing. And then be able to also put in the atmosphere, yikes, I want it and I need it, but I'm not ready or I'm not in a space to be able to accept it in the manner in which I wish to type thing or hope to get to. And that creates room for you to grow and reflect as a person to where you can actually get there. So I wish many hugs and many comforting spaces in all forms of physical touch, whether it's a holding of a hand on a knee, or just on an arm type thing. Have you ever talked to somebody and they talking to you and they just like, blah, blah, blah. Of course it doesn't look this awkward, but just talking to somebody, they just touching you. It just feels like we here. So I hope this week you have we here moments type thing. If you're not a person who appreciates or knows how to give physical touch, I challenge you to step into spaces and try, even if it's just a finger type thing. Don't be weird out there and catch a charge. We don't want that type thing. But I definitely challenge you to try. And if you can't try with other people, do physical touch on yourself type thing. In more than one way. But yeah, we hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. It started off a little bumpy, but hopefully as this episode progressed, you guys were able to get into it type thing. And as always, we appreciate you coming into the space. You have tuned into Kickin' It at Mellow, and you already know, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. We are on all streaming platforms, and follow us on social media. Have a great week.